And now it's there. There we go.
Cool. So here we go. Revelation 13. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed. And all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshipped the dragon which gave the power unto the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 40 and 2 months. And he opened his mouth in the blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints, and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations, and all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and faith of the saints. And behold, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. He had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a great dragon. And he exercised all the power of the first beast before him, and he causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he doth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on earth and in the sight of men. And he deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had the power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by the sword and did live. And he had the power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause them as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he caused us all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of his beast, for as the number of a man, his number is 600 threescore and six.
Wow, that was a mouthful. Holy.
Oh, how about the last verse ends in 18 and 666.
I don't know about all that. We should maybe start at the beginning, yeah?
So I stood upon the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rise up out of the sea. I'd say that's Rome,
Alright, I'm with you still.
having 7 heads. I could go with the 7 heads being the 7 Herods, like you said. And then I kind of think the 10 horns are the 10 emperors of Rome.
Yeah, it could be, yeah.
Upon his horns, 10 crowns. Upon his heads, the name of blasphemy. So I guess the blasphemy would be that they didn't worship the true God.
Yeah, I mean, what else is blasphemy? It's totally.
Let's
Calling
see.
blasphemy, and the Roman emperors would do that, say that they were divine.
Right, yeah, but just if you're an emperor and you're like, oh yeah, like, I'm God. Okay, that's a little blasphemous there, buddy. But so then yeah, I agree. Okay, so you got this beast which I saw, and the beast which I saw that's the beast with the 7 heads. Okay, and this one's the one that comes up out the sea though. Okay, so maybe this isn't the 10 Herods though. Like there's another possibility here. I mean I don't know because you do have I don't know why are there 7 heads.
Some people say the 7 heads is these next beasts mentioned in Revelation 13 too. So you got the leopard, the
Right.
bear,
This is all
uh,
beast, though. It says, and the beast which I saw was like all these things. And why wouldn't it be? Because it was Babylon, absorbed by Persia, which was absorbed by Greece, which was absorbed by Rome. So yeah, that's the beast we're talking about as far as I can
Yeah, but I think one of the beasts, if you go back to Daniel, has like four heads or three heads or something like that. So if you count all the heads of all these beasts together, it's a total of seven heads.
And one of the heads gets killed though. So that.
No, gets wounded to death and brought back to life. So I personally think that's Nero. And you hear stories that he came back to life, and then you hear other stories that was made up. But
There are all those stories, but I saw them. It says the deadly wound was healed. I could read that as like, okay, it looks like the Roman Empire is going to be trashed, but like magically, boom, they come up with some plan and they save themselves. I was like, oh,
yeah,
Roman Empire not dead yet. Sorry, buddies. Like we're still here.
yeah, some people think it's that too, where the three emperors were like real short and they were having about ready to fall, and then
Yeah,
Vespasian basically healed that wound.
yeah. I mean, I suppose it could be either or. But then it says, and they worshipped the dragon which gave power unto the beasts. So now, question: what's going on there? The dragon. They worshipped the dragon which gave power unto the beasts. Well, what's the dragon?
I would say that is the Jews, Israel.
I don't think they worshiped the Jews though, did they?
I don't think this is the whole earth, though. I think this is the whole area, and they clearly the Jews gave their power over to Rome, but they still manipulated Rome, and so the Jews, they were allowed to worship their own way
I mean, like,
until the
what?
end.
And I saw, oh, sorry. And they worshipped the dragon which gave power unto the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, they're like, they worship the dragon, and the dragon is giving the power unto the beast. And they also worship the beast, and they're worshiping the beast and the dragon at the same time, but the dragon is giving the power to the beast.
One cannot have two masters, for he will love one and hate
Just
the
like
other.
one of the beast was able to war with. I mean, who's going to go to war against Rome?
We have no king but Caesar.
What if the dragon was Zeus?
Well, like, what? Zeus is just made of dude or a deified man. I mean, do we know, like it said, there was a mouth given unto him, the mouth, speaking great things, blasphemy, the power was given to him to continue 42 months. Well, who's the only dude you know of power to do something for 42 months in our scenario? Because that's clearly got to be our man. If it's not, we have a problem.
What's 42 divided by 12?
3.5 years.
This guy, whatever, he's the one speaking great blasphemy. So, in my opinion, this either of these guys has to be either Vespasian or Titus. Like, no two ways about it. It has to be one or the other.
So
Yeah,
this is
personally
something
think it's Vespasian.
like 66 and a half AD up to 70 AD.
Right.
Okay.
And I mean, it's written about Vespasian that he did do miracles, and he also claimed that he was God. But like Stacy said, I think a lot of them guys did stuff like that. But it was definitely mentioned about Vespasian doing miracles. I lose my sound.
No, you did not lose your sound.
Okay.
I'm just saying, going through this very quickly, I mean, slowly. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwelt in heaven. Peculiar statement. Then after that it says, and it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them, and power was given to him over all kindreds, tongues, and nations. Yeah, that totally sounds like Vespasian taking over the whole John.
Mm-hmm.
Like, perfect timing. Anybody? He
Blaspheming
was
his
sent to
name.
quell everything, so he would be coming in from from where he was coming in. He would be persecuting the Christians at some point. The believers. He'd be pushing them. And then the believers that were the faith would be pushed further towards the city of Jerusalem. They would all get battered in there, and then they'd get surrounded, and then it's too late. Anyway, sorry, Stacy. What were you saying?
I'm just saying, blaspheming his name and his dwelling. That is, those who dwell in heaven. So the dwelling, his dwelling, is those who dwell in heaven. So it's almost like they're like tabernacles, living tabernacles, and him dwelling in them makes them in New Jerusalem, like Hebrews says.
Right, well, I mean, can you imagine going up to like the guy from Cornelius or something, like some Roman dude for the most part, and being like, "Oh yeah, hey, Emperor guy, like, hey, you want to join our little group here where you're like saved too?" You're like, "What? No, I don't need your stuff. You're crazy. Like, that's retarded." Right? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm just saying that that is those who dwell in heaven, and verse 6 looks like it's a state of mind and not like a
Yeah,
physical
they're not
place.
actually in heaven.
Because it's where God's dwelling is, and then it says that is those who dwell in heaven.
But it is those who dwell in heaven.
If it's a location, then he's dwelling in people who are in the location, or his dwelling means that you are in heaven if he dwells within you. So that's why I'm looking at it thinking it's more like a state of mind.
And there is the part where he overcomes the saints. He makes war with them. Overcoming the saints, that's the believers, isn't it? Like, could you even call the people who are about to be burned and destroyed in the fires of Jerusalem 70 A.D.? Could you call those guys the saints? I mean, maybe at one time they were, but are they still the saints?
The
I
Greek
don't think.
says, and he opened his mouth for blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tent, and the ones encamping in the heaven.
Mike sounds far away.
But you heard me right.
Yeah, we got you. In verse 11, I beheld another beast coming out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon.
Right. So now here we have another beast and a dragon again. We just got done talking about a beast and a dragon. Now the beast is talking like a dragon. Although he's pretending to be a lamb.
I think the first one could be talking about Nero as well, and then this one could be talking about Vespasian.
But how was Vespasian speaking like a lamb? Or the other guy? I think that some of these might have to do with
Vespasian spoke as a dragon, but he had two horns like a lamb.
okay. Lambs do have two horns, I guess, sometimes.
Vespasian had two sons.
True that. Okay, fair enough. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
And not only were they sons, they ended up both being rulers, I believe. And so horns were, I believe, earlier referred to as kings.
How are they speaking like lambs?
No, they speak like dragons.
Oh, right, but like, how are they pretend? Something about lambs.
Yeah, they had two horns like a lamb.
Oh, that's all. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
That's easy. Getting hung up on the details. See?
Well, they were like lambs to their father, but they were like dragons to everyone else.
Go ahead. All whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb, slain from the foundation of the world. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. Ruh-roh. What does that mean? That whole thing.
Which verse are you looking at?
I'm just following along. 10, 13, 10, and onward.
I think that's talking about Nero again. That, he was killing people with the sword. Well, he ended up being dying by the sword. I think I lost my sound here.
True, but what if, like he shall lead it in the captivity? Like, I mean, what about all the people that are being punished? Like, they're the ones being punished for all this evil stuff they did, right? They're the ones killing the prophets. All these dudes are coming against them. So, if you're the kind of dude that was leading dudes into captivity, well, then guess where you're going? If you were killing dudes by the sword, guess where you're going? I don't know. Just a guess.
I think that's why it's Nero, and then it goes on to verse 11, talking about Vespasian.
Yeah, but I'm just saying because it says, here is the patience and the faith of the saints. It's like, well, dude, if I didn't lead nobody into captivity and I didn't kill nobody, like, I'm cool, right? It's the faith and the patience of the saints. Like, I didn't do anything, so I'm cool. I don't know. What do you think? What's with that peculiar statement right there?
Well, I definitely think Christ was teaching not to be in war and military.
Yeah, let them kill each other. It says, here is the endurance and the belief of these set apart ones.
Stacy, is there any way you could, like, maybe fix your mic or
Doesn't sound too bad to me.
I can speak up.
Oh, okay, maybe that'll work. It sounded far away. Matthew being all quiet over there.
You know why I'm quiet?
Because you don't like Revelation 13?
Because I have no idea what it's saying.
Oh, come on, that's why we're going through it. And then right after that, I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. And he had two horns like a lamb. Okay, so that we already went over that. Yeah.
I don't even have the smallest inkling of a clue.
How can a man of dust know anything at all? It's a miracle.
Right?
Okay, well, I mean, his son, I mean, it does make sense, right? According to what Rob said, the two horns being Titus and Domitian, like the first horn, like totally is going to be like, yeah, my dad, Vespasian, like he's the dude, right? It does make sense. Oh, man, you don't know what it is. You have nothing? I thought for sure you would have had something.
Nope. I got nothing on Revelation 13.
Nothing at all.
No, for a moment I thought maybe...
Not even about the mark of the beast? Dang.
For a moment I thought maybe the beasts were like successions of the Gentile powers, but then it mentions the saints, So when you hear saints, you think of, the ones who were already saved, after Christ. The ones, and then, the ones who were persecuted by Nero.
Right. That's why, and the Enoch quote is, "Behold, he comes with 10,000s of his saints."
Right. Saints is always believers, as far as I can tell.
Exactly.
It's not like Old Testament saints or anything like that. But
This
that's
had, to
just
be, this had to be happening during a time where the saints were being messed up,
exactly.
not the Jews. Because the Jews,
No, that happened to both.
it did happen.
Because I mean, not everyone got out of there.
Exactly. No doubt. Exactly. Totally right. Not all the believers got out. There were still some still in there.
I thought it was the other way. I thought every believer got out of there. They had heeded the words of Jesus, and
I would say most of them did, but then
Yeah, I would say most probably did, but definitely not all of them got out.
there is the part, unless we're talking about different things. So like, there's the whole, the tribulation part. Like these are the guys who went through the tribulation. Well, what tribulation are we talking about here? The worst time ever was 70 AD in Jerusalem. Like, if you were in Jerusalem, worst time ever. But if you were outside of Jerusalem, not worst time ever. So like that, you see what I'm saying?
So verse, let's see, 14. And he deceived them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do inside of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image of the beast which had the wound by the sword and did live. So I think this is talking about Vespasian making people worship Nero, basically.
Or just the emperor of Rome himself.
Yeah.
Doesn't even have to be Nero. Just be like, me, I'm awesome. It's kind of the same thing that, like, Nebuchadnezzar did. He was like, I'm so awesome. I will ascend above the clouds. I'll do all this stuff. But really, it's just him being full of himself. And then he got, smacked around a little bit.
I think it goes back to verse 12 where it says, he actually has all the power of the first beast before him and causes the earth and them that which dwell on there that worship the first beast whose deadly wound was healed. So I think it's talking about he was making them worship Nero.
It's Rome. It's making them worship Rome again. Like, it looked like Rome was going to die because Nero died. Then you have the year of the four emperors, then Vespasian, and this guy comes, and he's Titus. He's the guy who's saying, like, yo, my dad is he's the John, Look at him. He's so awesome.
I mean, definitely you could say that Vespasian was the one making them worship just the Rome system.
That too.
But I don't think it's Titus because it's the same person that had the two horns like a lamb.
Right, but one of the horns is totally reflected back upon his dad's. Unless you're trying to say, like, one beast is Rome and one beast is Vespasian.
Right, exactly. So it says, I beheld another beast coming out of the earth, that'd be Vespasian.
Okay, fair
and he had two sons, and he spoke as a dragon.
Fair enough.
And he had all the power of the first beast before him, which would have been Nero. And then he caused the earth which dwell on there to worship Nero, whose deadly wound was healed. And so, with that in line, and you jump down to the mark of the beast, they had to use Nero's coin to buy or sell, and if they didn't, their heads were chopped off.
Yeah, true that. There is that whole part about the mark of the beast down there. Because it does say that this is the guy, right? This is the one, whoever this is. Making him
yeah, it says he had power to give life unto the image of the beast. The image of the beast supposed to be caused as many who would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. So
yeah,
if they didn't worship that coin, Nero, they were going to be killed.
And then they were totally.
And then I think where it says mark in their right hand or mark in their foreheads is actually a mistranslation, because if you look at the Greek word, it can be translated of. So it should be mark of his right hand, and the word there can be translated his as well in the Greek. So mark of his right hand or mark of his forehead.
Right,
if you look at that,
would change everything, because then maybe it's like, just like before, like don't kill all the dudes until we seal them above on their foreheads, right? Then you can kill the ones who don't have it. See, that changes everything. The way that you just said it, Rob, like that puts a spin on it.
Well, they had their own coin. The Christians did, and if they tried using their coin, they were killed. They had to use the Nero coin.
And that no man might buy or sell, save that he had the mark. Like, you could buy or sell if you had the mark of God, but otherwise you'd be screwed.
No. You couldn't buy or sell if
I
you
know
didn't have the Nero coin.
you couldn't buy or sell to if you didn't have the mark, you couldn't do it.
Yeah, if you didn't have the Nero coin, they weren't letting you buy and sell in Jerusalem. The Romans had taken over.
Of course.
And then it says, "Here's the wisdom: let him that understand count the number of the beast, for this is the number of man. His number is 666." So his name added up to 666, which a lot of people say, oh, like Obama adds up to 666 or Trump. A lot of times you can make things work out, but Latin Bible said 616,
Exactly.
and Nero in Latin added up to 616, where you can't make like Obama and Trump add up to both.
Exactly.
Where Nero could.
Yeah, and plus here's the thing. Like, they're gonna tell me that, like, I don't know where they get this from, but they're telling me that, like, this number of his name is 666 has something to do with somebody today. Like, dog, look when this was written. It said, did you not remember, like, the beginning of the book? What did it say? It said, basically, in big bold letters, this is not written to you, right? It says, right? This is not written to you. It says, the revelation of Jesus Christ, which God gave unto him, to Jesus, to show his servants the things which must shortly come to pass.
A lot of people say that mark of the beast is a chip that's going to be in your hand or your forehead, but it's because they think it's in your skin instead of.
But that's because they're totally just taking that one verse right there, and they're just like cherry picking it, and they're just combining it randomly with whatever the heck else they want, and they're making a new doctrine. That's what they're doing. Like, it doesn't say that at all. Like, where in here do you see anything about microchips?
We really don't have Bond people for the most part anymore either.
I love it how they love to yell at us for metaphors, but then when they make up crazy metaphors that have nothing to do with anything, and we flag them for it, they're gonna get all butthurt. Like, I don't understand it. At least I can prove to you my metaphors are for a reason. I'm not just picking and choosing, right? I'm not like, oh, I think the word 12 here is a metaphor. Candlestick is a metaphor, randomly. Because it was previously defined.
So the idea of the Antichrist being, some future guy comes from, I believe it was a Jesuit priest named Francisco Ribera who wrote about it, saying that he in Daniel 9:27, 24 or 27. That's what I was talking to Lamb about the other night, that he is the Antichrist. So once you have the Antichrist making a covenant with Israel in a future 70th week of Daniel called the tribulation, then you have to come up with the scenario of, well, what's he going to do and when is he going to do it? And then they come up with the temple being rebuilt, and he steps into the temple, and he
right, yeah, they do all that stuff because they're cherry picking. They read a verse,
right,
a verse there, and they put them all together. But it's like, dude, just read it for what it says, right, all in a row. Like, come on now. Like, this was written to people 2,000 years ago. Come on now. It was given to John. When did John live? And it says right in the beginning, things that should happen shortly. Like, if I told you I'm going to come over your house shortly, when do you expect me? 17 years from now? Come on. It's not shortly.
How about, Matthew, when you look at 2 Thessalonians 2:8, would you say that's the second coming?
2:8. Yeah, that's a tough one. Seems like 70 AD to me, but
Oh, yeah, could you read it for us? Because, you know, we're not all so special and can't memorize everything.
definitely not memorizing. I had to type it in. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming.
Right, that's a good question. Yeah.
Who that be?
I think if we go back to verse 7, it kind of gives us an indication. Because it says, "For the mystery of iniquity," or lawlessness, some Bibles say, "doth already work, only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way." So most people say this is a future Antichrist, but I don't get how they make it a future when Paul says there's someone now who's letting.
Mm-hmm.
And the way I read that is that Claudius was the one now letting, even though he was lawless, he was letting the Christians free worship whatever God they wanted. But when Claudius was taken out of the way, then Nero was going to persecute the Christians, and they wouldn't be allowed to free worship anymore.
Yeah, he definitely did. He blamed, it's well known, he blamed the fires of Rome on the Christians.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hello, that might even have some play here in the scriptures, something about fire. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that does talk about the fire coming on Rome, maybe.
It might, but I don't know exactly where. I forget, rather. There was something where it seemed awful lot like that could be like those fires, like, was that really Nero that started the fires, or did they start for some other reason? And then he did blame it on the Christians because he actually didn't start them. What about that? But it is rather peculiar that apparently he had the plans drawn up already for a new part of that city anyway. He was already planning on redoing that joint, which is rather peculiar. Like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, if today, like, Donald Trump was like, yeah, so, like, we're going to redo Chicago, and then Chicago just burned down, like, the whole thing tomorrow. And then he's like, hey, I got plans for New Chicago. It's like, wait a minute. What? How do you have the plans for that so quickly there, bro? Seems like you're in on it. Okay, well, if you don't have anything on 13, what about 14? Do you have anything on Revelation? I don't know. You guys have to talk for a minute. I have to go to the bathroom for a second, so I'll be back.
I was trying to find that fire thing on Rome.
Yep, I got nothing on Revelation.
when I looked at Revelation 14 up from the note at the very beginning, I think that's your note, Rob.
Yeah, what did you say?
What's that?
What did you say on that last little bit? I missed that.
I think that's your note. I put it in August the 12th. And it says, I recently became aware of the thought process that makes full preterism not a viable teaching or impossible for many.
Was that in your what do you call it, sword program or whatever?
Yeah, my sword, I think I converted your document and put it in his note.
Okay. Let's see. Oh yeah. I wrote that note maybe about a month ago. That was Joel's thing where he was thinking that if there was judgment and already that there couldn't be another judgment, basically. You know, that there had to be a final judgment, that we can't have an ongoing judgment, basically. But he changed his mind on that, but he still has questions on the judgment and the resurrection, I think. I thought you were saying that you had that note from like a year or two ago. I was like, confused me for a moment.
Oh, no, this one.
I was like, I didn't think you had my sword back then. Because didn't you just get my sword kind of like last winter?
Actually, just about 3 months ago.
About 3 months ago.
I mean, I was using the free version of it, but you couldn't really have much. You know, you couldn't make more than one bookmark list and different things. So I use it a lot now. This is what I actually use for all of my Bible studies now.
Oh, cool. Well, it's definitely nice. You can carry your notes with you into Bible studies and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, Stacy, it sounds like somebody or a couple of things at the Bible study aggravated you. Seventh-day Adventist Bible study.
Not really them. It's just my particular situation because my arraignment date's been set, and they're trying to accuse me of 10 felonies and another of 15. And
seriously?
So,
what is that about?
Yeah.
What's that, Albert? Can't hear a word you said.
I have to end the hangout.
That'll be all right. We went over 13.
I don't want to talk with the record button on.
Yeah.
Too late. Now I have to edit the damn video.
You can just chop the end off. So.
But you can do that.